What's up guys, it's Meg and it's that time of the week again where we get to talk about the best show on television, AMC's The Walking Dead. Today we're talking about season 6 episode 5 called Now. What did you guys think of the episode last night? So Rick is back with the herd right behind him. I'll admit I thought we were gonna have a little bit longer before the herd showed up. I thought, at least like 5-minute head start, but those walkers were right on top of him. And now the herd is at Alexandria. The Alexandrians have just gone through this devastating thing with the wolves. They're trying to recover from that. And now they see Rick running up with all of these walkers behind him, and they're a little bit disgruntled with him. We also see Aaron right away admit that the wolves attack was his fault. So I liked this episode. It was, there was a lot of good character development in it. It was not one of my favorite episodes, and I'll tell you why. I'm really used to, since the beginning of this season, most of these episodes have been very smaller, character-driven, story-driven episodes. For example, JSS, episode 2, that was one of my favorite episodes, and it only featured really 2 to 3 of our main characters, and there was a big story behind it, just survive somehow. And so I love those little episodes where we get a lot of character development, but only for a few people, and we see a nice, story. Everything adds to the bigger picture here. So last night's episode, we had so many different characters doing so many different things, and everyone was developing, and to me it felt a little scattered. But I'll tell you why it was a good thing that we had this episode. So I firmly believe that this episode needed to happen. But, we spent so much time in the beginning of this season having these shorter, only a few characters, story-driven episodes. We had a 90-minute Morgan episode of just him, so now it feels like we have 3 episodes left. Next week's episode is going to be about Daryl, Abraham, and Sasha. So that only leaves 2 episodes leading up to the finale. So 1 episode and then the finale. So there's so much that needed to happen with certain characters in our show in order to lead us up to what's going to happen in the mid-season finale. So am I making sense? So basically, everyone needs to get to a certain point by the mid-season finale in order for everything to play out like it's supposed to play out. But it felt like so much needed to happen, and they condensed it all into one little episode, one 60-minute episode, which we know is really like 45 minutes. So everything felt kind of rushed and very like condensed versions of what could have been bigger stories here. And I'm not complaining because it needed to happen, and I liked the episode. It just wasn't one of my favorites. I do want to get right into some of the certain characters and how they developed in this episode and what we're going to be seeing leading up to the mid-season finale here and why these things needed to happen. So I wanted to start out with Ron. I don't trust this kid. I don't trust him at all. He seems like him and Carl have this little incident, little scuffle, nothing big like I thought was gonna happen. But Carl asked for his help to go find Enid. Carl, of course, cannot stay in the house. He wants to go over into all of these walkers to find Enid. He's an idiot. I'm sorry, he just is. I do feel bad for Enid because I don't think it was her intention to go out and then get trapped, amongst all of the walkers and everything, but that's a different story. Ron, however, when he goes up to Rick and he's, saying, I just wanted to tell you Enid's out there and your son wants to go find her and I just thought you should know. Rick is the kind of guy that if you saw his face when he was like, she's stuck out there, Enid's out there, he's the kind of guy that would risk, just like Carl. Carl is so much like his dad. He's the kind of guy that would risk his life, would go and do something completely stupid to save someone, especially a child. So I think Ron hates Rick so much. I mean, he hates Rick. He wants Rick to die. I think he is asking Rick to help him learn to shoot for a couple of reasons. And I think that him telling Rick that Carl was potentially going to go out there is also him thinking, well, maybe Rick will go out there and get killed in the meantime. So I want to warn you guys, comic spoilers for the next couple sentences here. As far as what will happen with Ron and this Rick thing, I think that Rick, in teaching Ron how to shoot, come the mid-season finale, we're going to see Ron, perhaps in all of the commotion, try and shoot Rick. I think that he could potentially miss and could potentially hit Carl, and we could see that Carl comic book storyline play out. I see this Carl comic book storyline, I'm hoping it happens, but I could see it happening a few different ways. This is just a possibility. I do think though that Ron definitely has ulterior motives here in learning how to shoot from Rick. He's not being friendly here, and Rick unfortunately does not see that. Next is Deanna. We see a big change in her throughout this episode. So she starts out, she's very shocked. She's kind of walking and she looks like dazed out and stuff. And then in the middle of the episode, we see her up in her office and she has Reg's ring in her hand. And if you remember, Reg was very big on the expanding Alexandria, and he had big visions for Alexandria's future. And he was telling Noah, you know, when Noah was going to keep the book, like I can't remember what he wrote in the book, but it was something like "The beginning is now" or something like that. And Reg had very big plans for the development of Alexandria, the expansion. And at that point, Deanna makes a decision here. She makes a decision to stop dwelling on the pain that she's feeling now and dwelling on this horrible thing that happened. And she gets out a map, you know, plans of Alexandria, and she starts writing different things down, like gardens. Basically, she's writing down the future and the plans for the future of Alexandria and what she kind of sees happening there and developing there. So she's got a training center. She has gardens. I think she wrote down the mill, and it was really neat to see it laid out. Being a comic book fan, comic spoiler, we do see how Alexandria develops in future comic issues, and so it was really neat to kind of see those plans laid out before us. What I think is going to happen though, she writes down, excuse me, before I jump ahead, she writes down this phrase in Latin, and I went and translated the phrase, and it says, "This pain will be useful." And then I looked up, just to make sure I was translating it correctly, I looked up some other places, and a couple people added in, "This pain will be useful to you." And I thought it was very interesting that she wrote that at the bottom of these plans. And if she, you know, the Alexandrians have suffered a lot in this last day, 2 days, with the wolves attack. They've lost, we saw the memorial wall, they've lost so many people, and so they've suffered, and they're feeling the pain of that loss, and she's feeling the pain of the loss of her son and her husband. And this phrase, "This pain will be useful to you," she is choosing to fight, she's choosing to survive, and she's choosing to channel that pain into making sure that Alexandria has the future that Reg visioned for it, that she envisions for it. And that's what she's doing by writing down these plans. Now, we also see her kill a walker, you know, and we see the rage come out, and we hear her say, you know, "I'm going to fight." And so we do see that she is channeling all of that anger and hurt that she has experienced into making sure that she's a fighter and that she's a survivor. Unfortunately for her, comic spoiler, comic spoiler, I'm giving these comic spoiler warnings to hopefully prevent any of you non-comic book readers from being spoiled if you don't want to. Obviously, anything that happens in the comic book is not necessarily going to play out the same way on the TV, but oftentimes the storylines kind of line up a little bit. So, comic spoiler, I am thinking that it is still too late for Deanna. I don't think she's going to survive past the mid-season finale. What I think will be interesting though is for her death to happen, and then eventually Rick comes up to her office and sees these plans for the future of Alexandria. I think that would be really awesome. Now I want to talk about Spencer. Stupid freaking Spencer. I want to like the dude, but he's pissing me off. So he gives this like great little speech to some of the Alexandrians that are trying to loot these storerooms. And you know, they want food they're not used to going without. It's kind of funny at this far into the apocalypse, and they're not used to not having enough to eat. So they're wanting to take food, you know, they're worried about that they're all going to die when the fencing comes down. They're worried about that, so they don't want to spend their last few days on Earth, suffering or watching their families starve to death. I can see where they're coming from. I think we all may be in that, at the beginning of an apocalypse. Unfortunately, they've been sheltered for, 1.5, 2 years here, and they don't know what it's really like. So Spencer gives this great speech, and you're like, yeah, Spencer, that's right, you're right, you got it. Only to find out that he has looted the storeroom himself, and he gets drunk and he tells Deanna what he really thinks. And he basically says that, as long as no one else saw him do it, it's okay. And I just feel like they're leading up to him doing something really stupid in the final 2 episodes. Maybe he's not necessarily going to die himself, but he's going to get someone else killed or hurt. I just feel like they're leading up to him doing something really ridiculous or stupid. That being said, he did have a conversation with Rosita, and he may have, he may just be adapting and changing and kind of learning to deal with this. So he may, I could be wrong with him doing something stupid, but just the way he was acting kind of threw me off a little bit. We have Jessie and Rick. So the Jessie and Rick storyline, the last time we saw Jessie and Rick, Jessie was telling Rick to kind of back off, stay away from her kids. She was gonna learn to fight. She didn't need him to teach her. And that was kind of all we saw. And then we've had a few episodes, and now Rick comes back, and she has experienced quite a bit more in the meantime since he's been gone. And he visits her, at the end of the episode, and there's just kind of this like awkward, weird moment, and they kiss and they're making out. And I knew it was leading up to this. I think the big question we're all wondering here is, comic spoilers, will Jessie's storyline line up with her comic counterpart, or will we see her take on a portion of the Andrea role as Rick's love interest for very far down the line in the television show? So my question to you, I'm going to do a poll at the end of this video. Go into the comment section, look for my comment that says, will Jessie live or die? Yes or no? And I want you to respond just to that comment. Yes, she will, or no, she won't. You can give me your reasoning or whatever, but I want to kind of see it all in that one spot, because I'd love to know what you guys think. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the comics. I would like to see that comic storyline play out, where, comic spoilers, where, Rick has to cut off her arm, that kind of thing. She dies, she gets eaten. But I'm really liking where she's going and how she's adapting in the show. So I would not necessarily mind if she survived. I think it would be very interesting. So I'm kind of on the fence here, and I would like to know kind of what the majority of my viewers think as well. So make sure to do that when you're done watching this video. We have Tara and Denise. Oh my gosh, they were so, I loved this part because it totally took me off guard. I was not expecting it at all. Comic spoiler. In the comics, Denise has a relationship with Heath. So I was just completely thrown off when Denise kissed Tara. But man, I really liked it. It was a nice surprise. It was great. We see Denise, since we've met her, she's been very unsure of herself. She's felt kind of lost. She's been suddenly thrown into this position of being a doctor for this town, of trying to save people and feeling the weight of not being able to save them. When she lost Holly, she's frustrated. She's upset that she's probably thinking about, why didn't I ever just go and become a doctor? Because now if I had, I would be able to save these people. And Tara has been continually supporting her, checking in on her when no one else has, kind of trying to give her hope and be like, at least you're helping, at least you're able to do something, trying to keep her positive. And so they have this kind of weird, little bit of a friendship they're developing. And it was just so great to see Denise have that win. She figured out a way to save, I can't remember the guy's name again. I lost his name. Is it David? Something? I don't think that's what his name is, but I don't know why I keep forgetting that. You guys have told me. But she finds a way to save him, and she is flying high. She feels great about it. And I think it gives her a lot more confidence. And then she goes to Tara, she kisses her. Tara asks her why, I think, and she says something like, because it's the end of the world, or because the world is ending. And I thought that was really funny, because it just goes to show how sheltered these people have really been, because obviously the world's been over for a while, and if this is what's finally making you realize that the world is ending, okay, reality check. But I like that. I'm interested to see where it goes. I don't know that it's gonna move into a romantic thing. It could have just been a spontaneous thing. Either way, it doesn't matter to me. I liked it. I love Tara. I really do. I really love her character. She's that comic relief that we need in the show, and she's just a really good person in general. And then of course, last but not least, and I saved the best for last, Maggie and Aaron. And I love these two characters. Aaron, for starters, he has continually grown on me, and his character has quickly shot up to like one of my favorite characters in the show right now. Ross, who is the actor that plays Aaron, is just a really great actor. I love the emotion that he's able to show when he's portraying Aaron, and you really feel you feel it. Maggie, so Maggie's pregnant. You know, we guessed it, we were right. Maggie's pregnant. Where does that, I mean, moving forward, where does this go from here? We still have this huge question looming over our heads. Is Glenn alive or dead? Lots and lots of theories towards him being alive. You know, obviously I'm still worried. I am worried. He could be dead. I feel like if he's not dead now, man, now that Maggie's pregnant, he's eventually got to die. I mean, I really feel like he will eventually. That being said, so we see Maggie. This has happened to her before. They've been separated, her and Glenn. So she's on this mission now. She's reverted back to that mentality. I have to find him. You know, nothing else matters. I have to know if he's alive or dead. And Aaron decides to help her. You know, he's feeling a tremendous amount of guilt for the wolves' attack. So he wants to do something, and he doesn't want Maggie to go by herself. In the whole process of them being in the sewer, Maggie reveals that she's pregnant to him. And then she kind of comes to terms with the fact that she may never know what happens or what happened to Glenn. She may never know. She may never understand why it happened, or, you know, she may always wonder what she could have done if she'd gone with. And I think also in the back of her mind, she knows that Glenn would not have wanted her to go and risk her own life trying to save him. He would not have wanted her to risk the baby's life. You know, when he asked her to stay behind and watch over Deanna in that first episode, you know, we now know that was because she was pregnant. He wanted to protect her. So, you know, I think at the end of this episode, when she wipes Glenn's name off the wall, I was talking to one of my viewers about this as well, and it's really her not giving up and kind of maintaining that hope that he could still be alive. And just, you know, not going to admit that he's dead until she knows for sure, and coming to that realization that she may never know. She may never have that closure, but she's not willing to write him off just yet. And oh gosh, I loved that part of the episode, and I love these Maggie and Aaron scenes. I really see him as being the supportive person to her as she moves through her pregnancy. At least I hope, you know, and I hope that obviously I hope that Glenn's alive, and I hope that we see him soon and be alive, and maybe he somehow saves them or something, I don't know. But if not, I would love to see Aaron kind of back Maggie up, you know, and be that supportive person for her. I also know that she has a close relationship with Tara as well, so I think she has a good support system there no matter what. But hopefully we get a resolution as to whether or not Glenn's alive or dead. Next week's episode looks amazing. My next video is going to be predicting what's going to happen in that episode. You guys know I love Daryl, and I love Abraham. Sasha, no, I'm kidding. I love Sasha too. But I'm kind of excited to see what happened, you know, what happened to them. It looks like Daryl got in some kind of accident or something. So that is my review for this episode. Lots, as you can see, this episode's probably pretty long. Lots of character development, lots of things moving forward, and really showing us kind of what will happen in the mid-season finale here and where we will leave off. I am loving just how close to the comics they're following lately. I mean, it's really surprising to me, and actually I love it. I really do love it. I hope it continues this way. That's it, you guys. If I've missed something, feel free to let me know in the comments below. I'm sure I have. And I will talk with you more there. Be sure to leave a response as to whether or not you think, what was my question? Oh, Jessie. I'm in a hurry. I gotta go pick up my kid from school, so I'm rambling now. Be sure to leave a response as to whether or not you think Jessie is gonna live or die in the mid-season finale, and I will see you guys next time with my predictions for season 6, episode 6 coming up next. Hope you guys